Good morning, folks. Thank you for tuning in to the first News at Ben in 2025. Happy New Year to all of you, and I hope that 2025 brings for you all that you wish of it. I also hope you had a bit of a break over the Christmas period. Frankly, I thought I would get a break from politics at least, and it's been full on. Even on Boxing Day, stuff was going on. You would have thought we might get some rest, but I guess the political landscape is so tumultuous at the moment that there's always something happening. But this last week, even though it's been very busy, actually I've taken huge encouragement from what's been going on. Now, many of you who watch will recall that I've been saying that the Trump victory in the United States of America will give us the cover that we need in this country to do what we know is right, to put the United Kingdom first in the way that Trump is going to put America first. But also, and I think this is the more important point, is going to bring pressure on the United Kingdom to do things differently. Because if he's going to supercharge the American economy, we will be left behind unless we follow similar policies to supercharge the British economy. But there was a more direct way in which the Trump victory has exercised itself in the United Kingdom this week. And it comes in the shape and form of Elon Musk. And never did I think that a foreign billionaire would be able to intercede in British politics so effectively in the way that he has. Let me just get one thing straight before I go further. I'm not into foreign politicians having influence in the United Kingdom or trying to change our electoral outcomes. But the method by which Elon Musk has brought the United Kingdom under pressure this week, I think is entirely legitimate, simply by highlighting issues in the UK with which we need to get to grips. And the big issue this week that he's mentioned, and which has taken centre stage, and rightfully taken centre stage, and because of his intervention, by the way, I've learned a lot too, because I've done a lot more reading, is what I used to call the grooming gangs, because that's what they were called. But now that I've done my reading and responding to some people on Twitter who posted this in response to a tweet I did on these gangs earlier this week, I'm now calling them the rape gangs. And I'm going to call them the gang rape gangs, because actually the horrendous activities of these people are almost so bad that they are indescribable. And to his credit, Matt Goodwin had the courage in his Substack earlier this week, if you know who I mean by Matt Goodwin, I'm sure you do, had the courage in a Substack this week to publish excerpts from the Oxford trials about what these people were up to. And if you were to read those excerpts, you would not regard the story as I used to, as something that's taken place somewhere else. It brought the criminality, the vile behaviour, the atrocities committed by these people absolutely home. And I'm reviled by them, as I'm sure all of you are who have read about it, and all of those who haven't read about it will be once they've read about it. And so I want to thank Elon Musk for bringing pressure to bear in that regard and shining a bright light on it. Predictably, the Labour response to Elon Musk's intervention was to brush it aside. And there's going to be a limit to how much Starmer can brush what happens in the US aside going forward. He is going to have to respond to it, because no amount of ignoring the truth, especially when it's being put to you by your biggest ally, is going to get Starmer off the hook. And Jess Phillips, frankly, is a blot on the political landscape. She's meant to be in charge of safeguarding women. That's her job in government. And she basically denounced what Elon Musk was pointing to. Kemi Badenoch, to her credit, called for an inquiry into what has gone on. And perhaps we do need an inquiry, but actually I think we need to go much, much further with the grooming gangs. An inquiry, predictably, at least based on past precedent, will result in a protracted period of introspection, navel-gazing, without any genuine results coming at the end of it, and no doubt having spent a lot of British taxpayers' money. I want 2 or 3 things to take place, and these are them. First, I want all those in the police and the social services and the other public sector institutions which should have been bringing attention to the activities of these gang rape gangs and didn't bring attention to them, to be held to account, not through an inquiry. I want names to be named. I want people to be called out, and where they have criminally withheld information, criminally covered it up, and where they have effectively become accomplices to further crimes committed, I want charges brought against them. That is what we must do if we are to restore faith in British justice, because these people got away with their criminality, with their heinous crimes for decades, and they could only have done it if a blind eye was turned to it by those in authority who should have been calling it out. And so those in authority have become complicit, and they should face the full force of the law. That's the first thing. The second thing that, this is in no particular order, by the way, but the second thing that absolutely needs to be done, and I mentioned this in the tweet that I did earlier this week, is that the regulatory and legislative landscape, which gives protected status to minorities in this country, which I think had a significant role to play in the way that our social services, police, etc., turned a blind eye to what was going on with these gang rape gangs, is the regulatory and legislative framework of diversity, equity and inclusion, the protected blanket that we have put around ethnic minorities, the promotion and celebration of ethnic minorities, as I have often said, to the detriment of the majority in this country. And there can be no greater detriment than the thousands and thousands of rape victims that have had their lives ruined at the hands of these awful, awful men. We need to get to the root cause of the problem, and the root cause of the problem is the criminal justice system and those around it not prepared to do what they're meant to do, and they are given that cover by this awful legislation that gives protected status to ethnic minorities. DEI is a reverse racism, which is racism. It is eating away at the United Kingdom at a societal level. It is undermining the criminal justice system. It's also damaging our economy, but frankly, that takes second fiddle to the damage that's been done by these gang rape gangs. If there's any example that should direct our government to get rid of DEI, it's the revelation of what these gangs have been up to. So the second thing I want done, and as I say, it's in no particular order, is to get rid of DEI. And then the third thing that needs to be done, and I think this is well doable without any interference from the ECHR being possible, is an agreement with the authorities of countries, with the authorities of countries of which these gang rape gang members have dual nationality. And most notably, I'm thinking about Pakistan, because most of these awful men are of Pakistani ethnic origin. Our government needs to reach an agreement with the authorities in Pakistan and other countries where these people have dual nationality to have these people deported, having faced trial in the United Kingdom, having been found guilty under British law, for that guilty charge to be upheld, and for them to suffer the full consequences of sentencing at the maximum level possible in their own other countries. And in Pakistan, that would be death by hanging. And there's no reason why any human rights lawyer would interfere in that. This is not the human rights of these people being abused. They've had full access to British justice. This is now them being sentenced by the courts of their own other countries. And in Pakistan, as I say, that would be death by hanging. And there can be no more deserved fate for these people, nor a just one, in my view, than death itself. They are vermin, these people. And it would send a very, very strong message to any other would-be miscreants in this country if these bastards were sent back to the countries from which they came and that they face that death penalty. So the three things I want. Firstly, I want all those in the social services, the criminal justice system, most notably the police force, other public services who turned a blind eye to this and who effectively enabled the criminality of these gang rape gangs to continue to be brought to justice. I don't want an inquiry. I want them brought to justice. The second thing I want is for the legislative landscape that gives the ability to protect and promote ethnic minorities, and in this case, protect them from the full force of British law. I want that regulatory landscape to be reversed. I want DEI to be abolished. And the third thing I want is for those members of these gangs who've got dual nationalities, and most notably, I'm thinking about Pakistan, to be sent back to Pakistan and their other countries of which they are nationals, to face the maximum penalties under their law, their own country's law, which in the case of Pakistan, and I imagine a very significant number of other countries, is death by hanging. When these three things are done, I think we will see a remarkable reduction, not just in criminality on our streets, but also a massive reduction in the huge damage that's being done to our society. We are all living in an ever increasingly divided society, and it's because of these kinds of practices going unpunished, going unaddressed. And there's a difference between punishing them and addressing them. Punishing them, they must go back to Pakistan if you're dual national from Pakistan and face the full impact of the sentencing that you would get there. And addressing it is changing our own legislative landscape to make sure it doesn't happen again. And good legislation today, the reversal of DEI, will become good culture tomorrow. Everyone in this country, including those who've come to this country more recently, will start behaving in a better way. Good laws today means good culture tomorrow. We've had far too many bad laws made in the last 27 years. We need to reverse those. Top of the list is DEI. So bring everyone who's been involved in these gang rape gangs to justice, all those turning a blind eye to it, reverse the legislative landscape of DEI, and get those bastards who committed these crimes to face the full impact of sentencing in their own home countries. Thank you very much for tuning in.